the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
All right, we're back here on the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm now joined by a first-timer. If you're a Vol fan and you've been watching a lot of Tennessee Vols hoops this year, you've heard Jimmy Dykes here on multiple Tennessee broadcasts. He knows Tennessee hoops well. So I wanted to pick his brain on what this Tennessee hoops season was for Rick Barnes and company. Jimmy, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Chase, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I did a lot of Vol games this year, so that was a fun team to cover.
How many games did you do this year? Do you keep track?
I know what my contract requires me to do, so that I don't keep track of it, but ESPN does. So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Have you gotten, is there a Knoxville staple for you? Are there certain spots that you have to eat at or visit every time you're here now that you're a consistent returnee?
No, not really. I mean, we love that is it called Market Square area?
Yep.
There's some places down there, and back in the fall when we were there for home football games and those Saturday morning farmers markets down in the square area. Those are good times. But we love the Knoxville area and the Smoky Mountains and a couple of good churches that we've got to be involved in since we've been over there some. So yeah, Knoxville's a good second home for us right now, and our daughter loves UT.
I love it. When you think about the season that came to a close and what you saw in the Elite Eight against Houston, in particular, Jimmy, what did you see that gave Tennessee the most amount of trouble and why they were not able to get the kind of start that they wanted to? Because they played them even in the second half, but the first half was just too much for the Vols to overcome. What did you see?
Well, I think the same thing everybody else saw. I mean, you only scored 15 points, I think it was, in the first half, and they just could not get anything going offensively at all, Chase. And then they couldn't get the defensive stops to run off of their defense and try to get something before Houston got their half-court defense set. So it's just a combination of things, and they had made a lot of shots during that tournament that they missed in that first half. They had some good looks that didn't go in. And when you get to that Sweet 16 Elite Eight game, it's no secret. If you don't play well, you're going to go home. And that's what happened to Tennessee. They did not play well in the first half. They didn't play well enough to win the game in the first half. And they played much better the second half. By then, the game has already been decided. So a heck of a year, though, for Tennessee to get to the Elite Eight again, back-to-back years. And I'm sure Tennessee fans are disappointed that they didn't win that one more game and get to the Final Four for Zakai, Zeigler, and Meshack, and Gainey, and those kids that have given so much to that program over the years. But I think if you step back, Vol fans do a month from now, and they realize, man, we were really good this year in basketball, but both men's and women's teams. They had a great run.
When you think, Gainey's game stood out too, I think, on Sunday. He was just kind of, obviously the basically the sixth starter for Tennessee all year long, closing with Tennessee so much down the stretch. He was 2 for 5 from deep. He drives. He was just so much more confident offensively this year than a year ago, even when the shots weren't falling from deep. What did you see from Gainey throughout the year, where it's like there's so much attention to Jemai and Zakai, and rightfully so. But Gainey was just, I don't know if Tennessee has an Elite Eight run and has the kind of season they do if Gainey doesn't make the kind of leap that he did this year.
Yeah, he had a great year, and it's pretty well documented that he was their sixth starter. Could have very easily been one of the first 5 guys out there.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, I just think he really progressed this year, developed his overall game. I thought he was much better off the bounce. I thought he's much better attacking the rim. Those elbow jump shots that he and Lanier thrived off of, he was very consistent with that. So, he's a good example of a kid that transferred up a level in the portal and met the challenge and grew from year to year. So, yeah, he's a big loss to that Tennessee team. And, certainly Zakai is going to get a lot of the attention, and he should. One of the greatest point guards, maybe arguably the best ever played for Tennessee. But the loss of Gainey is just as big. And, for him to have, the unique factor of his dad being the assistant coach, I think that's really cool. So what a great run it was for the Gainey family overall, not just Jordan.
When one of the sad parts, I talked with some folks about this week, Jimmy, is you have this all-time great program win over Kentucky, right? In the Sweet 16, and Kentucky has beaten you twice, and you're not sure, like your favor, but it's still just like you have to see it because Kentucky has just shot the ball so well against Tennessee this year, and you beat them, and you have one of your best games, maybe your best game of the season on Friday night against the Wildcats, your rival. You don't really get to enjoy that very much. You have to immediately turn the page to Houston, and obviously it doesn't go your way at all from the get go. I mean, it's just so hard to think about like how different and how quickly things can change. And I feel bad for this team because the lasting memory is going to be that loss to Houston, which is it's perfectly fine. It was not a it was a situation where you have four uniquely dominant number one seeds that all made it to the Final Four. Ken Palm obviously loves them and this, that, and the other. But when you look at how Tennessee was able to dominate Kentucky and then to come out the way they did in the first half against Houston, did that surprise you? Was it really just like, hey, it was just the type of team with Houston versus Kentucky, and that's just the way of the game? Like, how would you explain the difference from what you saw from Tennessee on Friday versus what you saw in the first half against Houston on Sunday?
Yeah, that's just that's sports. That's
Mm,
the beauty of the tournament is just one game to the next, man. Things can change quickly, or one half to the next half, things can change on you. But playing Houston's a different animal than playing Kentucky.
mm,
That's a big difference. Step up in physicality, step up in how old the team was. The Houston had Kentucky was old as well, but Houston's is a different breed. You got to remember, Tennessee was the underdog.
mm.
They weren't expected to win the game,
Yeah.
and no one expected them to look like they did in the first half. But it would have been an upset had they won. The 4-1 seeds advanced for a reason. I think they're the four best teams in college basketball this year, and it's played out that way for the first time since I think 2008. So,
Mm,
um, it's a little bit of a, I don't know, it's not a shame, but I know what you're saying. It'd be nice for the Tennessee players, staff, fans to enjoy that Kentucky win a little bit longer, but
mm.
you had to get out of your system quick and get on to the next game. So, but that's the magic part of the tournament, man. That's what makes it so special and so unique. But it's never easy, and you got to remember, there's only one team that's going to finish this year on a win. Everybody else is going to finish on a loss. It's just a matter of when that loss happens.
When you think back to the 2024 team versus this 2025 March Madness run, I mean, obviously differences with Dalton versus Chaz and company, but they both make it to the Elite Eight. They both run into a buzzsaw top four team in Purdue last year and Houston this year. Now that you've seen a full season of both, who do you think was ultimately the better team the last 2 years? Because I've gone back and forth on that a little bit.
I hadn't even thought of it honestly, Chase. I mean, they're every team every year is different. Even if you return everybody, it's still a different team, different roles, different scenarios you got to work through. The team last year had its own set of challenges, and this year they were down to 7 scholarship guys for a portion of it. So I'm not going to say which team was better than the other. I think they are both maxed out their potential, which is all you can
Mm,
ask for as a coach. Did you get the most out of your guys? I know Rick Barnes got the most out of his guys last year. He got the most out of that roster he had to work with this year, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach. Has solidified himself as the best basketball coach to ever coach at Tennessee, from what he's accomplished to how he's done it. And they're not done. They're active in the portal right now, talking to their staff. I talked to Coach Barnes yesterday. I know how aggressive they are and what they're looking for right now. So it's a great time for Tennessee athletics, as you guys know better than me, between their college football playoff team, their national championship baseball team, their men's and women's basketball team, and Coach Vitello's got that baseball team rolling again. So at the end of the day, man, it's a real blessing, I think, if you're a Volunteer fan right now, to have the success you're having.
Do you think this is Rick Barnes' most impressive coaching job at Tennessee was this season?
No, because he's done a great job in the past. I mean,
Mm,
that Grant Williams Schofield era, man, those guys were good.
yeah.
It's hard to get deep in the tournament. It's hard to win it, and that's why look at the SEC. They haven't won one as a league since 2012. The Big Ten hasn't won one since 2000, since the year 2000. So it takes a lot of factors to get to the Final Four and cut down that final net. So, but I know Rick Barnes has not lost any part of his game at all as a head coach. He's probably at the top of his game. He has a great maturity about him. He knows exactly how that program is supposed to be ran. He's got that thing running smoothly. He's got great assistants, the program, the culture, everything's in place. It's not easy to get to that point. It's not easy to keep at that point, but I don't see any signs of Rick Barnes letting up right now.
Did you kind of have that inkling? Because, like you said, Barnes has just, I mean, the NIL era has been great for him. The transfer portal era, older teams, and it feels like a natural fit between Coach Barnes and Tennessee right now. I mean, did you have that kind of for knowing Rick as long as you have that, like, oh, this people they're just going to look at the age, but they're not really going to, like, they're not looking a little bit deeper here because it seems like Barnes is more well equipped to handle this than a lot of people may have previously thought. And to your point, like, it just feels like they're going to reload, and there's no, like, hey, we made 3 straight Sweet 16s, 2 straight Elite Eights, but even without Zakai and Jemai and company, we're not planning on rebuilding or phasing. Like, we're reloading here. That, like, we are going to keep banging on the door.
Well, I think Coach Barnes alluded to that he owes it to those former players that came before next year's team to continue to knock on the door and try to go further. Just because you're his age doesn't mean that it's a negative at all. If anything else, it's probably a plus because I think he's got a lot of good godly wisdom about how he handles himself as a person, how he handles that program. He knows exactly the type of person that he's looking for in that portal. They're not going to make any quick knee-jerk reactions. He's going to make sure he gets the type of person, first of all, that fits who they are. And the success that he's had with DK and Lanier, different transfer people, that's a highly coveted spot for transfers to be at right now. Any of those guys that come out of the portal, you have to think that they all think, man, Tennessee would be one of those spots that I'm looking at because of the success that coach has had, the success of the team, the 20,000 plus they have in Food City Center every night, the massive amount of national TV games. That program's as well equipped as any program out there. So, yeah, I think any Vol fans that think that that it's probably not Rick Barnes' time right now, I think they're jumping the gun a little bit because he's not done. I know him well enough to tell you he's not done.
And like the energy, because it's kind of like exciting, right? With the portal era for guys like Brick, where it's like, hey, yeah, this is a challenge. Like, it's something where it's like, I got to figure out what post Zakai world looks like, post Jemai world looks like. And it's kind of, I just feel like as a serious competitor that Rick is that, like, that's the kind of competition that drives him, where he's like, like you said, like, for the Zakais and Jemais, the world, like, I'm going to reload and I'm going to rise to this challenge. I'm going to see how I can piece together the next Elite Eight team, right?
Well, if you don't have that mentality, you're going to get chewed up.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to last. And I think Rick Barnes knows how that program was built better than any of us. He knows what it takes to get it back to that level it's been the last 2 years, in particular with the Elite Eight runs. So now you just got to sit back if you're a Vol fan and trust who they bring in, and they've identified the right guys. But I think if you're a competitor these days in college basketball as a head coach, you have to be a fierce competitor because there's no time off. I mean, they lost on Sunday, and I believe Monday they had a recruit on campus. So there's no time off for those guys at all right now. And if you're not a massive, massive competitor, then you just don't last. You know, it just gets too hard for you. So that's kind of where the whole world of college basketball is right now. Tennessee's not unique to it. Everybody out there this week is covered up with trying to make roster management decisions. And whoever does it the best will have the best chance and the leg up on folks going in next year.
Final thing, I'll get you out of here, Jimmy. What are you going to miss most about watching Zakai Zeigler at Tennessee?
I just think the fight and the chip that he played with. I mean, we all know his story. Didn't have any offers and was always undervalued in the recruiting process until one person believed in him and Rick Barnes. So I just think how hard he played, the toughness that he played with, how he went about being a Tennessee volunteer every day, not just in games but in practices, how he led that locker room, his voice, his relationship with Coach Barnes, that point guard head coach relationship is critical. And I think he and Barnes probably knocked that out of the park as well as any point guard head coach in the country over the last several years. So that's a big loss. But it was a big loss when Schofield and those guys left, and Grant left, and it's a big loss when DK left, and it's a big loss when Zakai and Jordan and Lanier leave. We'll be talking about the same thing 2 or 3 years from now. So that's just part of it. But certainly Zakai Zeigler, one of the all-time Tennessee greats. I don't think there's any question at all that he belongs in that conversation.
Jimmy, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at ESPN this week?
All right, Chase, thanks for having me on.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.